What's up, lore masters? This is the beginning of the Axanar lore series. For the record, I've made my opinions on the lawsuit abundantly clear. This video is about the lore, not the real-world politics. So with that out of the way, let's just get into it. In the Axanar universe, the Axaverse? Axanverse? Axa-universe? Yeah, we'll go with that. In the Axa universe, it is set in between the timelines of Enterprise and the original series. This fanfiction specifically goes through the 4 years war with the Klingons. To put it simply, the war had been devastating for the Federation. They had lost at least 3 systems, with additional territory being ceded to the Klingons every day. And it seemingly continued to get worse. The Vulcans were not willing to assist completely, and rumors of their withdrawal were becoming more and more prevalent. The Klingons had been bolstered by their early victories, even beginning to utilize tactics that were meant to dishonor Starfleet.
The early campaigns, yes, the Klingons were toying with us. They were using a strategy known to the Klingon people as which loosely, roughly translates as the strategy of least respect.
Entire operations would be planned, briefed, and then canceled within the same hour due to these losses.
Day after day, it was the same thing. I'd get called in to support some kind of counterattack. By the time I got into orbit, my orders had been changed. Attack called off. Battle was already over. We'd pull out of warp into a junkyard.
Fragments of starships bouncing off my hull. Fragments of the crews as well.
18 starships destroyed.
Pick up the survivors, beam them up.
We'd be beaming them up, and one of two things would happen. The transporters would blow out, or the Klingons would show up and start shooting.
I could look down from orbit and see trails of smoke. For miles.
Though, curiously, most of the worlds would stay true to the Federation and to the ideals of Starfleet. They would continue in full support. This, of course, may have been due to many reasons, including self-defense and the fact that Starfleet was buying the weapons from Federation member worlds, the Andorians being of particular note in their fervor to sell the weapons to Starfleet. As I stated before, the only resistance to the war we know of is the Vulcans. In fact, there was continued rumors of the Vulcan secession that was going to be happening in the near future.
Saval, forgive me if I cause offense.
There is no offense when none is taken, Shadera. We've known each other far too long for that. I fear the Council is making a grave mistake.
The vote is cast. Ratification, but a mere formality. Vulcan will secede from the Federation.
Minister, the Klingons began this war to shatter the Federation. Our exit will ensure that outcome.
Will not our exit end the war, and thus bring peace with the Klingons?
Peace is not their goal. If Vulcan secedes, other member worlds will follow. Divided, we will all fall to the Empire.
The Vulcans, seeing the death toll, wanted to try and stop the war by forcing the Federation to come to the table, as a Vulcan secession would mean that Starfleet couldn't win the war. Because it's totally illogical to force a surrender to the Klingons, who will subjugate every species into slavery and force them to work as non-citizens in horrendous conditions. One of the best ideas the Vulcans ever had. On par with Vulcan High Command deciding to side with the Romulans. 10 out of 10 subscribe, buddy. So with Starfleet continuing to lose battle after battle, they had lost one vital thing. And it wasn't ships, it wasn't technology, it wasn't even battle strategy.
After 2 years of almost constant defeat, the head of Starfleet, Admiral Slater, is forced to step down. Across the Federation, billions wonder who would replace him.
I was on the bridge of the Xenophon. It was my first ship in the war. An old Markland-class destroyer. Lieutenant Kane, our comms officer, said that there was a fleet-wide broadcast from Starfleet. I told him to punch it up on the big screen. And that's when we heard it was Ramirez.
That name spread like wildfire. You ask anybody where they were when they heard it, and they'll remember.
We are facing an enemy that is consumed and committed to our total destruction.
His first speech to the Federation Council was incredible.
An enemy that demands to be fought, and we will fight.
There were 40,000 people in Archer Arena.
But I say to you, our greatest challenge is not the might of a Klingon fleet.
And they all wanted one thing.
The greatest challenge laying before us is to do what must be done without undoing the dream of the Federation.
Hope.
For myself, I have but one fear: destroying the dream of the Federation. Compared to such a loss, I do not fear the Klingon Empire.
It was hope. They had lost hope. But it wouldn't stay that way for long. Words can only take you so far, however. With a glimmer of hope restored, and now a resounding trust within Starfleet Command, they took the next step.
The first goal was to create a class of ship that could spring Starfleet back into action, back into battle. We had to leapfrog Klingon technology.
It was called the Ares class. It was exactly what we needed.
Stay tuned, as next video we'll be doing a starship breakdown of the Ares class.
It was the first pure warship that Starfleet had ever built.